Big news. Your soulmate is crying with happiness right now. Because you finally did this. My beloved child, before you decide this message is meant for someone else, pause for just one heartbeat, because something has shifted in ways you cannot yet see. A silent chapter has just ended, and another has begun without asking for permission. Somewhere beyond what your eyes can measure, an invisible thread has tightened instead of breaking. That is why this moment feels different. That is why your heart has been strangely restless. And that is why the title of this message is not an accident. Stay a little longer, because the reason your soulmate is crying with happiness is far deeper than anyone could have imagined. You have been wondering whether the small choices you made recently mattered at all. Perhaps you believed no one noticed your quiet growth. Perhaps you thought your patience disappeared into silence. But what if every single step was being reflected somewhere else? What if the courage you found when nobody was watching created a ripple that reached another soul at the exact moment they needed hope? Think about that for a second. Not because it sounds impossible. Because sometimes the greatest changes arrive so gently that they almost escape our attention. Your soulmate is not overwhelmed by one dramatic event. They are overwhelmed because they finally felt something they had been waiting for longer than they could explain. They sensed a change in the current. The uncertainty that surrounded them has started to dissolve, replaced by an unexpected feeling of peace. They cannot fully explain why today feels lighter than yesterday. Yet inside, they know something beautiful has begun moving. Don't rush away just yet. The next revelation connects everything. For a long time, both of your journeys seemed completely separate. Different places. Different experiences. Different lessons. But destiny rarely moves in straight lines. It builds invisible bridges long before anyone notices them. Every disappointment became preparation. Every unanswered question became another piece of a picture that neither of you could see while living through it. Now imagine standing before a giant mosaic. Up close it looks random. Take one step back. Suddenly every fragment belongs exactly where it should. That is what is happening now. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that the waiting was never punishment. It was protection. Every delay carried hidden wisdom. Every closed door quietly redirected both of you towards something stronger than either of you expected. And here's the remarkable part. The thing that brought tears of happiness was not a grand announcement. It was what you finally did. You chose not to become bitter. You chose to keep moving instead of giving up. You chose growth over fear. Even if you didn't realize it, that decision changed your energy completely. It created a new frequency that could finally be recognized by someone whose heart was also preparing for change. Sometimes the smallest decision becomes the loudest signal. You may have smiled again after weeks of uncertainty. You may have forgiven yourself. You may have released an old memory. You may have stopped chasing what no longer belonged in your future. To everyone else, those moments looked ordinary. But from a higher perspective, they were extraordinary. Because transformation is rarely announced with fireworks. It often arrives as one quiet decision repeated every single day until your entire path begins to change. Wait before you leave. There is another layer hidden beneath all of this. Your soulmate has been carrying questions that words could never answer. They searched for certainty where certainty could not yet exist. They wondered if hope was worth protecting. They wondered whether timing could truly bring two stories together. Then something unexpected happened. Not outside them. Inside them. A calm feeling appeared without warning. A confidence they hadn't experienced before quietly replaced doubt. That emotional shift became impossible to ignore. It wasn't dramatic. It was undeniable. And in that peaceful moment, happiness overflowed into tears, not because everything was already complete, but because, for the first time, they truly believed the future was becoming brighter instead of farther away. Ask yourself one question. What if this chapter isn't about finding someone? What if it's about finally becoming the version of yourself that can recognize what has always been approaching? That thought changes everything. Because destiny rarely rewards rushing. It responds to readiness. Every challenge you survived has been shaping your perspective. Every lesson has been strengthening your heart. Every delay has been refining your purpose. Piece by piece, the version of you that once doubted the journey has slowly transformed into someone capable of walking into a completely different future. And somewhere, without fully understanding why, another heart has begun celebrating that same transformation. Not because they know every detail of your story, but because they can finally feel hope replacing uncertainty. Stay with this message until the very end of this journey, because what unfolds next will reveal why today's emotional breakthrough is only the beginning of a far greater turning point, one that neither of you could have predicted, yet both of you have been quietly preparing for all along. A quiet realization is unfolding right now. And this is where the story becomes impossible to ignore. If you have stayed with this message until now, you are standing at the edge of a revelation that most people walk past without ever recognizing. Sometimes the greatest signs are not loud. They arrive like a gentle sunrise, slow, undeniable, and impossible to stop. Stay a little longer, because the next piece explains why your soulmate's happiness continues to grow with every passing moment. Have you ever noticed how everything can feel ordinary one day, and then suddenly the world seems filled with unexpected meaning? Nothing outside appears different, yet something inside changes forever. That is exactly what has happened. Your soulmate has begun looking at life through new eyes. The worries that once felt permanent are becoming smaller. The future that once seemed uncertain now carries quiet excitement. They don't know every detail of what lies ahead, but for the first time in a long while, they no longer feel trapped by unanswered questions. Why? Because they have finally realized something extraordinary. The version of you they had been hoping would emerge, is already beginning to shine. Not a perfect version. A genuine one. Someone who has learned from difficult seasons without allowing those seasons to define them. Someone who continues moving forward with wisdom instead of fear. That realization has touched their heart more deeply than words could ever explain. Here's something fascinating. People often believe life changes because of one unforgettable event. But real transformation usually happens through countless invisible moments. A single choice to remain kind. A single decision to believe again. A single morning where you refuse to give up. Those quiet victories create a future that looks completely different from the one you almost accepted. And that future is beginning to reveal itself. Imagine standing beside a river after heavy rain. At first, the water looks restless. Then, little by little, it becomes calm enough to reflect the sky again. That reflection is what your soulmate is experiencing. For the first time, they can clearly see possibility where confusion once existed. Before we continue, if this message has touched something inside you, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Sometimes reading another person's journey reminds someone else that hope still exists. And if stories like this bring you peace and inspiration, you are always welcome to stay connected by subscribing. There are many more meaningful journeys waiting ahead. Now listen closely. Your soulmate is no longer celebrating because of what might happen. They are celebrating because they can finally recognize the direction everything has been moving toward. Every unexpected delay. Every surprising coincidence. Every lesson that once felt difficult. They now see them as stepping stones instead of obstacles. What if the moments you once wished had never happened were quietly preparing both of you for something far greater? That question changes the entire picture. The answer is beginning to reveal itself one piece at a time. And there is one final detail that has brought tears of gratitude to their eyes. They no longer feel the need to force the future. They trust it. That trust has replaced pressure with peace. Instead of asking, "When will everything happen?" they have started asking, "Who am I becoming while I wait?" That single shift has filled their heart with unexpected joy. Because when two people begin growing in the same direction, even without realizing it, the distance between them becomes smaller with every lesson they embrace. Take one more moment before you leave this chapter behind. The next revelation is unlike anything that has come before. It uncovers the hidden connection between a decision you recently made and an astonishing discovery your soulmate is only now beginning to understand. When that final piece falls into place, the reason behind these tears of happiness will become clearer than ever before. Hold on for one final moment, because what seemed like scattered moments are about to connect into one unforgettable picture. If you've stayed this far, you've already sensed that this journey has never been about coincidence. The happiest tears are not falling because the destination has arrived, they are flowing because the path has finally become clear. And what comes next may completely change the way you look at your own story. Your soulmate has reached a quiet conclusion. Not through dramatic signs. Not through endless searching. But through a deep feeling that refuses to disappear. They have realized that the person they were hoping would keep growing, never stopped growing at all. That person is you. Not because you became flawless. Not because life suddenly became easy. But because you chose progress over perfection. Every time you stood back up after disappointment, you unknowingly wrote another chapter of the future. Every time you protected your peace instead of chasing chaos, you sent another silent signal into the universe. Every time you believed tomorrow could still be brighter than yesterday, you strengthened a connection that neither distance nor time could erase. Think about this. What if the breakthrough you have been waiting for didn't begin outside your life? What if it began inside your heart the moment you decided to become someone who could welcome new possibilities instead of fearing them? That single thought changes everything. Because real transformation is never loud. It whispers first. Then it grows. Then one day, you look back and realize your entire direction has changed. Your soulmate is feeling that realization now. The tears are not born from sadness. They are born from relief. Relief that hope was worth holding on to. Relief that patience had a purpose. Relief that every unanswered question was quietly leading toward a greater understanding. For so long, they wondered whether life was simply testing them. Now they believe life was preparing them. There is a difference. One creates fear. The other creates gratitude. And gratitude has filled every corner of their heart. Imagine watching the first light of dawn after a long night. The darkness doesn't disappear all at once. It slowly gives way to color, warmth, and clarity. That is exactly how this chapter feels. Nothing is being forced. Nothing is being rushed. Everything is unfolding with a quiet confidence that could never have existed before. Now ask yourself one final question. If today marked the beginning of a completely new chapter, would you recognize it? Or would you still be looking for signs that have already appeared? Sometimes the greatest opportunity arrives wearing ordinary clothes. Sometimes the biggest breakthrough begins with one peaceful decision. And sometimes the happiest tears are simply the heart recognizing that it no longer has to carry yesterday's doubts into tomorrow's possibilities. So walk forward with confidence. Protect your peace. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small it seems. Trust the lessons that shaped you. Because every meaningful step has brought you closer to becoming exactly who you were meant to be. This isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a chapter where hope feels stronger than uncertainty, where purpose feels greater than fear, and where two journeys continue moving toward a future built on growth, understanding, and quiet joy. And perhaps the most beautiful news of all. The reason your soulmate is crying with happiness isn't because everything has already happened. It's because, for the very first time, they truly believe the best is no longer behind either of you. It's still ahead. Just when it seems the story has reached its destination, another door quietly opens. Listen carefully, because this final chapter is not about looking backward. It is about recognizing the quiet momentum that has been building around you all along. Every previous moment has led here, and the last missing piece is finally ready to reveal itself. Stay until the final moment, because this ending may become the beginning you never expected. There is something remarkable about hope. It does not always arrive with applause. Sometimes it arrives in silence. Sometimes it appears as a feeling that gently whispers, "Keep going." That whisper has reached your soulmate. They no longer wake up wondering whether life is moving in the right direction. Instead, they carry a quiet confidence that every lesson, every delay, and every unexpected turn has brought both of you closer to becoming the people you were always meant to become. And that is why happiness has become impossible to hide. Not because every answer has already appeared, but because they have finally stopped fearing the unknown. Think about the strongest tree in a forest. It didn't become strong on a calm afternoon. It grew stronger through changing seasons, steady patience, and unseen roots reaching deeper into the earth. Your journey has been exactly the same. The challenges you once questioned have become your foundation. The moments that tested your patience have strengthened your perspective. The quiet victories that nobody celebrated have become the reason you now stand differently than before. Your soulmate can feel that difference. Even without knowing every chapter of your story, they recognize that your heart carries a new kind of peace. That peace inspires them. It reminds them that genuine growth is never rushed. It unfolds naturally, one decision at a time. Before this message comes to a close, if these words have encouraged you or brought a little hope into your day, you're warmly invited to share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might encourage someone who needs it today. And if you enjoy uplifting journeys like this, you're always welcome to subscribe and continue this path with us. Now take one slow breath. Picture yourself standing on a hill just before sunrise. The sky is still quiet. The horizon is still soft. For a brief moment, nothing seems to be happening. Then suddenly, light begins touching everything. The mountains, the rivers, the trees. Even the smallest paths become visible. Life often works the same way. The biggest changes are already happening long before they become obvious. Your soulmate has realized this truth. Instead of searching for extraordinary signs every single day, they have started appreciating the quiet evidence already surrounding them: greater confidence, deeper peace, renewed optimism, and the feeling that tomorrow carries more promise than yesterday ever could. That realization has filled their heart with gratitude. And gratitude has become joy. Joy has become hope. Hope has become happy tears. So as this chapter closes, remember one simple truth. Never underestimate the power of one positive decision. One act of patience. One moment of courage. One choice to keep believing in a brighter future. Those small moments create extraordinary stories. Perhaps that is the greatest message hidden inside today's journey. The future does not belong to those who rush toward it. It belongs to those who prepare for it with wisdom, kindness, resilience, and hope. Carry that thought with you. Let it shape tomorrow. Because the most meaningful chapters are not written all at once. They are written one faithful step after another. And somewhere ahead, beyond today's horizon, new reasons to smile are already waiting to be discovered. One last hidden truth remains, and it is far more beautiful than anyone could have predicted. By now you may think you understand why your soulmate is crying with happiness, but there is one final realization they have only just begun to embrace. It is quiet. It is powerful. And once you hear it, you may never look at your own journey the same way again. Stay with me until these final words, because this isn't an ending, it is the moment everything begins to make sense. Your soulmate has stopped asking life for proof. Instead, they have started noticing it. Proof hidden inside ordinary mornings. Proof hidden inside unexpected peace. Proof hidden inside the feeling that every new day carries possibility instead of pressure. That change alone has transformed everything. Because once the heart begins looking for hope, it discovers it in places where fear could never see it. And perhaps that is what happened because of you. Without realizing it, your determination became an example. Your quiet resilience became a reminder. Your decision to keep moving forward, even when progress felt invisible, became the inspiration someone else needed. Isn't that remarkable? Sometimes we believe our greatest influence comes through our loudest moments. But often, it comes through the silent choices nobody applauds. The days you kept believing. The moments you chose gratitude over frustration. The times you trusted that every season had a purpose. Those were the moments that quietly changed the future. Now imagine your soulmate looking back at their own journey. Every difficult chapter suddenly feels different. Not because the past changed, but because its meaning changed. They no longer see obstacles. They see preparation. They no longer see delays. They see perfect timing. And that realization has filled their eyes with joyful tears. Not tears of regret. Not tears of uncertainty. But tears of appreciation for a story that unfolded exactly when it was meant to. Before this journey closes, let one thought stay with you. You never need to force what is already growing. You never need to rush what is already becoming. Some of life's most meaningful moments arrive quietly, almost unnoticed, until one day you realize they have transformed everything. So continue becoming the person your future will thank you for. Keep choosing kindness. Keep choosing courage. Keep choosing hope. Because every choice shapes another page of your story. And somewhere beyond today's horizon, another heart is smiling, not because the journey is over, but because it finally believes the brightest chapter has not been missed. It has only just begun.